Hello everyone, my name is Ridwan. Welcome to another Flutter tutorial where we're talking about the Flutter feature. In the last video, we talked about logged in devices, where it shows how to remove a device from an account and how this the logic behind it basically works. And if you missed the previous video, you can go ahead to click the link in the description to watch that video. So in this new video, we'll be talking about linked accounts. We're going to be linking and unlinking Google accounts for a user account. So basically, when a user signs in with either email or password, that's creating an account for an application, and they use their email and password. And later on, when trying to sign in the next, they use that same account using through the Google account. So this way, what Firebase does is instead of creating a new account separately, so you just link the Google, which is a provider, to your existing account. So that way you don't have two different accounts. So that's where this Google linked account feature is useful. So in the long run, maybe you want to unlink your Google account from your main account so as not to have that two different sign-in methods to the same account. So you can just unlink, and this is going to remove it from Firebase. So you only have the login for the email and password. So before any further ado, so we go and look through the code on how this works and this logic, the logic behind it to make this work. From here you can see I have my heading that shows the Google link with Google. Then we have the leading image and the switch as well. So basically, this switch is what we have here, where if you turn on the switch, it's going to unlink this account from Google. So what I did here is to create a variable. This variable actually checks for if the device is a Google provider account. So let me switch up here. So here I list out what this is going to be doing. So the first variable where we have repository instance. So I'm calling the repository instance for authentication, and the provider is this is to check if the provider is getting the provider first, basically. So we're getting the provider, and here we then say create a new variable that says is Google linked equals to the provider, and we mentioned the provider, which is google.com. So basically we're trying to check if this provider is actually a Google um, sign-in provider. So that's what we call the value here for the switch. So if this is true, that's when you see this link device here with the um, turned on link. And the other one where we have the unchanged, so this is where we're calling the logic behind we unlinking when the switch is basically turned off or clicked on. So we get the value, and we created this variable here that says should delete, then we await the dialog. So why we created this is basically for accidental unlinking. So when you try based on best practice, when you click to unlink, you basically need to see a dialog that says if you want to actually unlink or if you don't want to basically change your mind. So we get the dialog pop up, then we show the alert dialog. Um, we state there for the content, do you want to delete your Google account? Then action button is what it does is the first one to cancel. Then when you use the navigator, the context.pop as false, that's if the user click on cancel, then it means do nothing. Then the second text button, which is the unlink, if this is clicked, then the pop is true, and this logic here is initiated when this is set to true. So you should delete when unlinking is true. Then when unlinking is true, then it just run this toggle Google account link, which we created in the user controller. So here we use the user controller instance to call that. So now I'm going to show you that logic in the user controller. So here, this is what all we needed to get this up and running. So for the we created this function Google toggle Google account link, then it's awaits a feature, and we put the async. Then we call this parameter should link boolean. Then we use a try catch. So first, what we need to do is to get the auth repository confirming the user, the signed in user. Then we use this auth user to get the Firebase auth instance as well to get the current signed in user. So this is what we're going to be using those two for here, where we have the if. So I said if should link this, then when the user clicks on that, first, you show this processing loader. It shows this processing loader and shows the animation. Then first, we re-authenticate the user to confirm that this user is actually the signed in user before we unlink that user. So this is best practice. If you fail to authenticate that signing in, it's going to prompt an error there. You need to Firebase need to confirm that this user is signed in before you can take any other action. So this same logic is similar to when you're signing out for the Google account from your account if you're initially logged in using Google. So first we get the provider and we confirm that provider and we say provider if it's google.com, then we authenticate the Google account. Then when that is done, we use the auth user which we created here to check the current user. So if they sign in as the current user, then you unlink. Then we call this function. It's a Firebase function. So what this does is to get a string. It calls in a string to get a provider. So, and the provider here is google.com. So when that is confirmed and it's on link, then we stop the loader and go back before we show the success that the user already successfully unlinked this. Then if there's any error while trying to do this, then stop the loader and show the error. And basically, since we use a try catch, we need to also catch that if all of this there's an issue with any of this code, then stop the loader and just give us the error what's going on. So and that's it. So this is all you need to do to create your link linked with Google and to unlink. So from this part of the code as well, if you notice I use is Google link. If Google link, then show this. That's what we see linked accounts and all of this linked with Google and the switch as well showing up. And this is a sized box, so we also want to show the size box if it's actually if it's Google linked. So this way we don't have extra space hovering everywhere when this no longer shows up. So this feature is only to just unlink basically. So I'm going to do a test here. So here we have the link device. So when you click on this, it gives the pop-up, and when you unlink, it shows processing that this is working. Then we get the response to this successfully unlinked that account. So if I go back to the profile, you can see we no longer have that account being linked. So basically, we don't need to show user if you want to link your account to a Google account. No. So basically, the feature is just to unlink if this user actually signed in before using that Google account. So if we go back, let's log out and basically I can still sign in with my main account, which is this. And if you go back, you can still see it's not showing link. So let me log out and sign in with Google, and I'm going to sign in with the same account which I have the credential for email and password. And you can see we signed in successfully. And if I go here, you can see it shows linked with Google. So this way you're able to know, oh, this account is linked with a Google account, and basically it's going to show up. So I'm going to bring up this for you to see how it shows in um fire in the Firebase auth as well. So now you can see we have this shows the first account, it shows the providers, that's the email and as well as the Google. So if I unlink this device now, we should see this go away. So when we unlink, so when you come here and successfully unlink, then when you refresh, you can see the provider no longer shows there as Google and just only the sign in with email. So this is how it works. So if the other question you might ask is what about you instead of having to create with email and password and maybe the user just went out, I had to log in using a Google account, which means we're creating that user account through the Google provider. So, if that's the case, you're going to also see that information here shows it's linked with Google. But the only difference is if the user unlinks that account, what it does is it's going to unlink this account that's the provider, but the data for those accounts still remain in Firebase and everything still works the same. The only thing it does is just remove the provider Google from that account, but does not delete or have any effect on that user account. So basically, if the user goes signs out from this account and try to sign in again, basically it signs in and Firebase do the rest by adding it to the user that this user is signed in using Google provider, then the data still remains the same. The data comes up. So the unlinking is just to if you have another account linked with your main account, which we already have using the email and password. That's where the logic comes in. So this way, I hope you're able to understand the concept of the linked account and unlinking that account as well. So this way, users have this a level of security as well to don't want to have their Google account attached to any other account sign and wants to stick to just the email, that way you're able to get rid of that. And as well, basically, you can unlink as a normal Google provider account. So this way, no one is able to sign in elsewhere with the account because basically it doesn't exist. However, when you sign in successfully with the right password, it's going to associate with the data which it previously have instead of creating a new total Firebase account. So that way, Firebase handles all of that in the backend. And thank you very much for staying tuned. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel so you can get more of my videos. Thank you and do have a great day. Think, believe, and develop. Bye.